his home. We're going to his school, and we're just going to check some stuff out. So hope you all enjoy the video and come along for the ride with us.
What's really been puzzling me is how come I just didn't know anything about this.
I pretty much was doing things in my own little world.
Amazingly, all the times that I should have been caught, I never was.
Do you think that maybe Satan was involved?
Hey, we're doing a story on Jeffrey Dahmer, and we're looking to see if the road next to his house, which is Bath Street 2, is a public road or a private road so we can access it.
Yeah, that is a private drive.
The one next to his house?
Yes.
Bath Street 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't access that. Okay, what about, so there's no easement? Are we allowed, do we have access to the side of the road? Tell me what's going on.
Let me have you talk to my sergeant. Hold on 1 second.
All right, thank you.
I didn't Sergeant Mouse.
Hi, I was calling, we're doing a story on Jeffrey Dahmer, and I was asking initially if Bath Street 2 was public or private, and you said it is private, right?
Yeah, the only thing that's public is the roadway. Everything else up through there is private.
Okay, there's not an easement. Do we have access to walk on the side of the road?
I mean, you can walk in the front of the house on the roadway, but you can't enter someone's property.
Okay, so just
And
walk.
obviously it's a busy road, so I would caution you to be careful if you're going to be walking around. It's a busy road there too.
Okay.
Some people drive 45 miles an hour and come up on you pretty quickly.
Right, yeah, we were just there. Okay, so as long as we just don't access the road or go on his property, we can just...
Yeah, don't go on the property, yeah. So obviously the roadway is, public. Obviously you don't want to harass people, that kind of stuff, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to be real quick. We just want to get a couple pictures.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks for calling.
All right, thank you.
I had these obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to, I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently.
And that's why you killed them.
Right. Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons.
Considered one of the world's most evil serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer killed 17 young men over a 13-year period from 1978 to 1991. Dahmer was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, May 21, 1960, and moved to Ohio in 1966. Dahmer's parents fought a lot and ignored him. He showed early signs of abandonment from a very young age. He was a strange kid who didn't form close bonds with others. He didn't care if other kids got hurt on the playground. As a kid, he began collecting insects in jars and dissecting fish. He progressed to killing and decapitating dogs. A neighbor kid found a decapitated dog nailed to a tree in the woods behind Dahmer's home. In 1978, Dahmer's parents divorced. His mom moved away with his younger brother, and his dad lived in a motel. Dahmer stayed in the family home, lonely, drinking excessively, and stuck in his own twisted mind. June 1978, 1 month after Dahmer's 18th birthday, he met hitchhiker Stephen Hicks. Hicks was on his way to a concert, and Dahmer offered him a ride, but suggested they go back to his place for some drinks.
I always knew that it was wrong, but after the first killing was not planned. I was coming back from the shopping mall back in '78. I had fantasies about picking up a hitchhiker and taking him back to the house and having complete control and dominance over him.
It's reported they were in the basement, drank, smoked, and had sex. After a while, Hicks wanted to leave. Dahmer clubbed him in the head with a barbell, then strangled him, dissolved his body in acid, crushed his bones, and disposed of his body in the woods behind his home. Dahmer didn't kill again for 9 years. He went to Ohio State University, but spent most of his time drinking in his dorm room and dropped out after 1 semester. His dad suggested he join the Army, and he did, but was discharged because of his alcoholism. Assumingly frustrated, his dad sent him to live with his grandmother in Wisconsin. He spent a lot of his time in gay bars and bathhouses. Homosexuality was something that happened in the shadows in those days, which allowed him to reawaken his killer instincts. He would seek out gay men that wouldn't be missed, whose families had abandoned them over their sexuality. From September 1987 to March 1988, Dahmer killed 3 men. 2 of them were in his grandmother's home, drugged, strangled, dissolved in acid. On September 25, 1988, Dahmer got his own apartment in Milwaukee. On September 26, the very next day, he lured a 13-year-old boy back to the apartment, drugged him, and sexually assaulted him. Dahmer passed out drunk, and the boy got away and went to the police. In January 1989, Dahmer was convicted of sexual assault, but his sentence was delayed until May. While waiting to serve his time, he killed a 5th victim. He served 10 months in prison, got out, and went right back to killing and mutilating. This is when he started keeping parts of his victims and building shrines out of those parts.
It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. When you depersonalize another person and view them as just an object for pleasure instead of a living, breathing human being, it seems to make it easier to do things you shouldn't do.
He started eating pieces of them because he wanted them to be a part of him forever. It seems neglect and loneliness drove at least some of his behavior. He even tried drilling holes in their heads and putting acid inside to keep them as zombified sex slaves. In 1990, he killed another 4 men. He would offer money to take nude photos of them. They all went willingly. He'd offer them a drink, drug them, have sex with them while they were passed out, then wait for them to wake up and strangle them to death. On May 26, 1991, Dahmer had drugged a young Asian male and drilled a hole in his head, left him and went to get more beer. The young man escaped and was running naked in the alley next to Dahmer's apartment. Someone called the police. Dahmer returned and told police that it was his boyfriend and they had a fight. Police asked how old the young man was, and Dahmer told them he was 19. He was actually 14 years old. Police followed them back to the apartment and looked around. He even had a decomposing body in the bedroom at the time. The police left and Dahmer killed the boy. In July of 1991, over a span of 16 days, he murdered 4 more men, bringing his total to 17. July 22, 1991, Dahmer's next victim, Tracy Edwards, escapes with a handcuff on one of his wrists. Edwards ran to a police car to see if they'd just remove the handcuff and let him be on his way, but they decided to investigate. They go back to the apartment, and Dahmer opens the door. Realizing it's the cops, he tried to slam the door shut. They forced their way in, and after a brief struggle, Jeffrey Dahmer gave up.
After the first killing was not planned. Fantasies about picking up a hitchhiker and taking him back to the house and having complete control and dominance over him.
He confessed his crimes to police, and while in jail, if he remembered a killing that he wasn't sure he had told them about, he would have the jail call the police to come over so he could tell them about it. January 30th, 1992, trial began. The defense went for the insanity plea, but it didn't work, and Dahmer received life in prison. Wisconsin doesn't have the death penalty. Dahmer would have to serve 936 years in prison. At this point, they had him on 15 murders.
The important point is that the sentence is structured in such a way that this defendant will never again see freedom. That is owed to this community in order to protect the community.
Months later, he was convicted of his first murder, Stephen Hicks, and received another life sentence. On May 10, 1994, Jeffrey got baptized in a prison bathtub. 6 months later, November 28, 1994, Christopher Scarver beat Dahmer and another inmate to death with a barbell, ironically the same tool he used to kill Stephen Hicks. Dahmer's last words were, "I don't care if I live or die, go ahead, kill me." For most sadists, the joy comes from watching people suffer, but once they die, the fun is over. But Dahmer was also a necrophiliac. He liked having corpses around to play with. He had his cake, and he got to eat it too.